What's going on, everybody? Can everybody see me and hear me okay? Am I coming through loud and clear? What's up, Jim? What's up, Jessica? What's up, Sean? We got Patrick in the house, Robert Holder, always wearing those cool shades. Jeremy Carter, appreciate you being here. Fabian, we got Jane, and we got a couple people that definitely need to turn your cameras on. David, Judith, and Adam. This will be one of my final warnings. I figure if I put a tie on a sunny Friday night, then I can at least see your beautiful faces. So turn cameras on if you want to stay. I'll give you 2 minutes, and then you will literally watch me throw people out. I'm a little ruthless in my old age. And look, today I want to talk about something that's a little alarming in my opinion. Two of the massive multi-trillion-dollar tech companies who we thought actually maybe we're going to compete in the field of AI are now collaborating. Now, I just spent 2 hours on a live interview with a guy named Peter Diamandis, who's next level. This guy's been talking about and investing in AI for decades. He knows Ray Kurzweil that predicted the singularity in 29, which is basically 6 years from now. We talked about AGI, and he wrote a new book called basically How to Exponentialize Your Business. And I just did an intro with him, and he basically said, look, there are two types of companies. Those that are going to incorporate AI into every aspect of their business by the end of the decade, and the other company, which is going to be out of business. It's that serious, folks. We talked about everything, what's going to happen on a human level, job losses, companies, the dystopic future, the optimistic future. And he is just like me. He's like, wow, this is the most exciting time. And he can't see past 2 or 3 years in the future. And this is a guy that's been predicting the future for the last 10, 20, 30 years. And now he said that most of the AI experts, they can't honestly say they can see past 2026. And by the way, most of the experts now are bringing in that prediction of artificial general intelligence, basically human level intelligence in all way, shape, or form, back from 2029 up even closer, maybe by 2026, maybe by 2025. And everyone I've spoken to is saying the same thing. Folks, this is going to change everything. It's going to be the most exciting time to be alive. And it's also going to really challenge your brain to try to stay flexible. And we talked a lot about mindset, and I'll try to drop some of those gems on you tonight. So looking forward here. How many people are a little concerned about the future of AI here? Just thumbs up if you're a little bit scared or concerned about it. All right. So Jacek and June and Robert and Sean as well. Good. And just raise your hand if you're not worried at all about this, by the way. You think everything's going to be okay? All right. Not a lot of those people. You know, Mark Andreessen, who runs Andreessen Horowitz, which is a venture fund, a lot like ours. He was just on Rogan for the second time, and he was saying how, look, I'm super optimistic. He says, look, this is just like any other technology. It's going to actually add jobs to the economy, not take away jobs. But quite frankly, he's the only guy I hear saying that. Peter says this. He says, an AI isn't going to take your job. He said, a human powered by an AI is going to take all of your jobs. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's kind of the same thing as an AI. But, you know, I see what he's talking about. It's not the machines that are going to go to, it's the humans that are going to be capable of doing 10 jobs, 100 jobs, 1,000 jobs, 1,000,000 jobs that are probably going to put you out of work. Peter talked about universal basic income. I'm personally not a fan of that. And we went really deep. So today I want to talk to you about some of the recent developments, about some of the positive things, some of the negative things. I'm going to share a few pieces of video I haven't shared before. By the way, I'll have Peter's trailer for next week. And then I want to go in and show you quite literally how we are going to create a massive amount of wealth and usher in the type of artificial intelligence that's not going to kill us all, at least the best version we are, and not going to kill my children, because I've got a little bit of a vested interest here. So if everybody's ready, I'm going to rock and roll here. Thumbs up if you're ready. I'm going to give Judith the last chance to open up here. Actually, I gave Judith a chance already. Can I throw her out, Martini? Judith, I'm sure you're a nice person, but I got to turn these cameras on. Otherwise, I'm checking you out. And I'm going to take out Jose as well. Martini, just throw out anybody who hasn't turned cameras on. And if everybody's ready here, let's go. Shall we do this? Okay, let's go, folks. All right, let's pull up and see our first two culprits right away. Can everyone see pictures of these two CEOs of multi-trillion-dollar companies? You got that? Okay, so I'm sure they're nice people. But on the left, you have Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft. On the right, you have Mark Zuckerberg, who's the CEO of Meta. Now, they look pretty chummy to me. They're looking like they're getting along like a house on fire, and that's because they are now teaming up on AI. And my question for you is this the future we want? Put your hands up if this is the future you want, right? like multi-trillion-dollar oligopolies controlling all of our technology. We saw what happened when they controlled social media. And if you didn't see what happened, I experienced it in 2020. I was shut down by all of their platforms. By the way, thank you to Satya. LinkedIn, which is owned by Microsoft, literally deleted my account. Thanks to Mark, Facebook and Instagram shadow banned me so hard you couldn't even find me. And don't get me started about Google. Don't get me started about PayPal. Don't get me started about Dropbox and the rest. So I've seen what happens when a few people control our technology. AI is like that times 1000x. So I'm concerned about that. I want to show you what we're doing behind the scenes to profit from this once in not only a lifetime, not a generation. This is, in my opinion, once in a species type of technology development, right? We've been around for about 200,000 years as humans. I always say my boys will have teenage years that have never been experienced by a human on this planet. Folks, we have one chance. And honestly, I think the bets are being placed on the table this year, some of them in the next 3 months. And if you're not ready, you're going to miss out on everything. By the way, it's not obvious that even money will be involved in the future. So if you do get some wealth, you're going to want to make sure you put it in the right places because our entire world is going to change. Everything you assumed about this world is going to change. And you need to have the mindset to be ready. So let's jump in here. First of all, I just want to say that this is for information purposes only. This is not intended to be investment advice. If you do want investment advice, seek a duly licensed investment professional. And on that note, let's get started. Here's the big headline. Mark Zuckerberg, grateful to Satya. I mean, this I never thought would come out of his mouth, right? Let's be honest. They're smiling here, but they are mortal enemies because they're all trying to kill each other behind the scenes. But what did Mark do? He has taken their Llama 2, which is their large language model. This is their ChatGPT equivalent. And he's gone ahead and opened it up and allowed all the Microsoft clients to now use that and to collaborate. And by the way, ChatGPT is basically owned by Microsoft. So you've got two potential competitors now collaborating. Now, one thing that's always good for the consumer is competition, because when they're competing, they do cheaper products. They give us access to their products. This makes me feel a little uneasy. Raise your hand if this makes you feel a little uneasy. Like the smile is just really scares me, honestly. You know, it would be like, you know, if you had like Biden and like Putin and like Xi and like all these other leaders all smiling like in a big party together, you'd be thinking, uh-oh, what's about to happen next? So again, Meta's going to make their new version of their AI model available free of charge to Microsoft. Now, look, I appreciate the open source movement. I know it's a big part, but there's something about this that makes me feel a little bit uneasy. I'll talk about open source AI very, very shortly. Again, even Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, who I'm not a fan of his blockchain policies, but even him, he sees conflicts of interest happening right now. And even he doesn't like the fact of what's going on with some of these major companies and if there's a potential monopoly on this technology. So people are already concerned about what's happening. They're worried about it from a financial perspective, from a regulatory perspective. And there's a lot of eyeballs on this, but as I just spoke to Peter about, most people are not taking enough action. They do not get how serious this is. Raise your hand if you got friends like that just don't even know AI is happening, right? Or they think it's like a cute little trick, right? Yeah, because they haven't really looked at this tech and realized like this is going to change the world. Like in 10 years from now, we will not even be able to recognize the world we have now and vice versa. When we look at the future, we won't know what it is. Peter just said this to me on the show. He said, in the next 10 years, we will see as much transformation as the previous century. What were we doing in 1923? Like literally, what kind of cars were we driving? Did we even have television at that point? No nuclear power, obviously no internet, no nothing. Imagine from that to here, if you took someone from 1923 and stuck them here, like on a Zoom call with AI and all this other stuff, they would be freaked out. That's what's going to happen to us in 10 years. So this is going to be our reality. And it's imminent, by the way. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle. You can't stop development. You can't untrain this. So you better strap on your seatbelt, open up your growth mindset, and get ready for the most exciting, challenging, terrifying period of your life. Who here is ready to take this ride with us? Yeah, that's what it's going to be like. And look, you're already strapped in on the ride. It's like being on a roller coaster at, Disneyland. You're already strapped in. You can either close your eyes and like cry the whole time, or you could open them up and just say, let's go. So I'd suggest let's go. So let's jump into it. First of all, we know the master plan of Satya and Microsoft is to destroy Google. Now, let's be honest here. Microsoft has been the ugly stepchild of the West Coast technology movement for the last 30 years, right? They have getting their butts whooped by the new kids on the block, right? The Metas, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Googles, even Tesla and Amazon are making them look bad. They're an old stodgy company that provides, Microsoft Outlook for your grandpa and anybody working in a corporation. And up until ChatGPT, they had no chance of ever getting back on track. Sure, they're a massive technology company, but they were never cutting edge. So they want to go for blood. And we know now there is an AI war right now between Google's Bard and OpenAI's ChatGPT, right? And I'm sure Zuckerberg's going to find a way to get Llama in there. Even if he's open sourcing it, it doesn't mean they don't still control it. This is a massive, basically, it's World War III in technology, and they're all fighting for the future supremacy. And again, look what they did with social media to control our minds. Did anybody see that? Come on, in 2020, 2021, if you didn't see it, is because they censored all of my interviews, so you couldn't see it. That's why you couldn't see it. Imagine what they can do with AI. It's 1,000 or 10,000 or 10 million times more effective. So this is something we should be really concerned about. Of course, you know that Google reportedly overruled the risk assessment to launch Bard AI. They've now connected Bard AI to the live internet. They've taught it how to code, and now you can allow other AIs to prompt that AI. These are the three no-nos, always have been when it comes to artificial intelligence. And now Google is doing all three, which means what? Danger for all of us. We know Sundar Pichai admitted that the AI dangers keep him up at night. We know recently he gave a tour to Lex Fridman that showed him this entire new AI facility, and Lex said it was daunting and scary. It shows how serious they're taking this, because this is the difference between them being $1 trillion company and going to zero. And by the way, I know people at Google, and they said Sundar's a nice guy, but they also said this: if he doesn't do it, they're going to fire him and get a CEO that does it. Is that clear for everybody here, right? Even the way we create corporations and the way that we allow them to monetize value, that creates the problem. It's not necessarily even bad people, it's the reward structures. Of course, you've heard the headlines, AI can wipe out humanity. We know that's true. OpenAI's Foreman Safety Officer has says there's a 10 to 20% chance that would leave many or most humans dead. Does anybody like those odds? 10 or 20% chance. You know that game Russian roulette where you put the thing in the chamber? That's 1 out of 6, right? That's like 18%. This is about the same. I don't know about you, but I don't play Russian roulette on a daily basis. So this doesn't look like a good idea. Of course, Eric Schmidt, who ran Google for 15 years, has says potentially many, 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 many people are going to get killed. That's what he said. And again, he's a politically correct guy. So how does he really feel? That's what you want to ask yourself. Read between the lines. And of course, the OpenAI leaders have called for regulation to prevent literally, quote unquote, AI from destroying humanity. We know this is serious. On the other side, folks, with great power comes great opportunities and great responsibility. So we see massive amounts of money about to be made. We've just seen Microsoft and NVIDIA put $1.3 billion into a brand new AI company called Inflection AI. That's a lot of money. It's valuing it, by the way, at $4 billion. We've seen a 4-week-old company, yes, 28 days old, raise $100 million just for their AI play. All right. You're basically paying for the talent is what you're paying for. NVIDIA, the chip maker that powers all the AI, has joined the $1 trillion club. I think there's only 7 companies that are over $1 trillion, of course, all technology companies. And of course, this report by McKinsey recently came out and talked about the economic potential of generative AI. And look, big surprise, it said that I could add the equivalent annually of 2.6 trillion to 4.4 trillion annually to the entire GDP of the world. By the way, compare that to the entire GDP of my country here, the UK. And that was just 3 trillion in 2021. This dwarfs that annually, just AI. But guess what? Some of the numbers get even bigger, because if you look at this table and you go all the way to the right, the total value that you could unlock with AI could be up to $25 trillion. That's bigger than all of the technology companies in the world, plus add in a bunch of other companies on top of that. Folks, this is going to change every single industry, everything from agriculture to manufacturing to banking to law to medicine. It's going to change and affect everything out there. So we need to be prepared and we need to understand it. Accenture, one of the big management consulting companies, is now investing $3 billion, and they're not an investment fund, but they still see the potential for this. And of course, the godfather of AI, the guy that, by the way, all of my AI guests tell me after the show, they say, Brian, Geoffrey Hinton was the man. He believed in neural nets. He believed in large language models for the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years. He quit Google because even he is terrified about what's happening. Does that make anybody else here concerned? Raise your hand if that concerns you, right? And again, these people know more about the technology than anybody in the world. I just got done speaking with Peter Diamandis, by the way, he's a legend. And he said, Brian, I said, what surprised you the most, Peter, about what's happened over the last 6 months? He said, Brian, this is what surprised me the most, that the very people who are working on the front lines with technology, the experts of the experts in AI, he said, this surprised them. He said, that doesn't happen. He's like, I've been programming computers for 30 years. When you program a computer, it does what you say it's going to do. It doesn't surprise you with things you never imagined possible. That's what's happening with AI. Is that clear for everybody here? Like, I've never heard of a technology like that ever, where the people, the scientists on the front lines are shocked. I still have not met an AI person yet that said, yeah, Brian, I thought this would happen in the mid-20s. Not a single one. And you would think some ego would get involved somewhere where someone would say, no, not a single one has said that. So again, this is exponential technology that's moving exponentially. And Peter just said, Brian, he said, the acceleration is hard for people to imagine, but he said the acceleration is now accelerating. And that is something that's going to be hard to get our heads around. This is Mo Gaudat. He was a chief business development officer for Google X. Google X was their special project arm where they worked on all the crazy stuff they couldn't tell you about, including AI. And he said, Brian, Google is creating God. Now, he wrote a book called Scary Smart, which is the future of AI. I highly recommend everybody listen to that on Audible. It's amazing. And he was in my studio just the other day, and he stopped by and gave me an update on what we can expect to happen. You've got to listen to Mo's words, because Mo will get you to really understand what's happening and maybe appreciate some of the nuance of what we can expect. You know, I'm a little bit worried, but also Mo sees a future where we can actually get somewhere with this. And so that's something that I would encourage you to try to see if you can read between the lines what Mo is saying. Because on one hand, he's actually concerned about what's going to happen. But on the other hand, he's actually optimistic about what's going to happen. And that's what I kind of like about Mo. Anyways, this is what he said.
Because of AI, by 2035 to 2037, it would be very difficult to even relate to our life today. Possibly in the better or possibly in the worse. We don't actually know. There will be a point in time where we will be comparable to an ant on a sheet of paper trying to understand cosmology.
It's impossible for us to even understand that because we've never really been around intelligent beings more so than us. It's, again, back to this concept of a singularity, which means we don't have any reference point for what happens on the other side of that.
There will be a moment in our very near future, I would say, where we will develop an artificial general intelligence that's capable of doing all human functions. When that moment happens, the rules of the game change. Humans will use that abundant intelligence in ways that are not pro-humanity. Humans will take that in a direction that is pro the systems that humanity instilled in place, which are mostly about shifting power and wealth. I think humanity should stop and ask, do we need this? Because we literally are handing over our only distinct advantage as a species within years.
You're not worried about the computers, you're worried about the humans, because they're going to make poor, irrational, emotional decisions.
The only way to get this right is to instill doubt in the minds of the machines that humanity is not bad, is to get them to reconsider it for themselves. We're a wonderful species at heart. Even though we're lost, we are stressed, but inside, a human is capable of love that's divine. That is what I need the machines to see.
All right, what do we think of Mo? Are we optimistic on the future? Do we think there's maybe something there? Mo said to me off camera, he said, Brian, I'm not worried about the AI. I'm worried about what the humans do with the AI. That's what he's worried about. And it's this weird period we're in right now, folks, for the next 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 years, where the humans are controlling AI. When they become super intelligent, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times smarter than us, they're going to do their own thing. All right. And we hope by then that they'll be in a position where they're not going to come after us. By the way, Peter just said, look, Brian, there's so many resources in the entire universe. I don't think they're going to care too much about what we're doing here on this planet. Maybe he's right. But over the next few years, it's going to be humans using the AIs to do what they want to do. And that's something I think we need to be concerned about, which makes me worried when Zuck and Satya get together to have this little cooperative thing. And I think we need to come together as a little bit of a collective rebel army and figure out something to do. So this is what I want to talk about. Again, why they teamed up, the dangers of this tech monopoly. And I want to show you what we're doing behind the scenes to make sure that this monopoly doesn't control our future, my children's future, London Reeler's future, all these important people's future. So that's what we're doing. We take this very seriously, and we're super proactive about what's going on. By the way, we are currently investing over $3 million in 3 metaverse AI deals this quarter. We're literally writing big checks. Strangely enough, Peter, who was just on my show, he's actually on the board of directors of our most recent investment called Vadim, that's actually building metaverses for the future. And so it's very interesting that all these things kind of come together, because we're writing these big checks to technology companies that we think are going to transform the world in a responsible way that actually looks out for the future of humanity. Not all companies are doing that. We're doing it through this vehicle. This is called London Real Ventures. It's the world's first media-powered investment firm. This is the first of its kind. No one's ever done this before. And we've taken our channel that's taken 12 years to build, a channel that's had over 1 billion views, a channel that's had over 1,000 of the greatest minds on the planet, a channel with over 5 million subscribers. And we're combining that with venture capital, big chunks of cash. And we're using that to not only invest in companies, but also promote the company's mission to the world alongside with the vision of their CEO. Again, because of this, we are seeing what we call top tier deal flow in the industry. We are seeing the best deals on the planet because we can add more than money. This is a snapshot of some of our portfolio companies we've already invested in, some of the great companies in the world. Vadim, that Peter is actually on the board of, Across the Ages, which is the hottest gaming company right now on the blockchain. And the list goes on and on and on. And we're really excited about what we're doing here. This is one of our investments called Orange Comet that's actually building metaverses for some of the biggest players in Hollywood and some of the biggest Hollywood franchises, like the NFL, like all sorts of other incredible companies and incredible actors as well. This is the company Vadim that actually Peter's on the board of, and they're building metaverses for some of the greatest companies in the world, including Google, PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, Deloitte and Touche, et cetera. And we're really excited to be working with them and empowering them for the future. This is our latest investment, which is called Open, which really is the one of the hottest companies out there. It's basically a Web3 app or a super app for artists and creators. It's what happens when Amazon meets WhatsApp, and we're putting some money into that. Of course, we're also investing in $1 billion fund that puts their money into digital asset ecosystem protocols. So if you believe in the blockchain and the metaverse, these are going to be the companies that are the Facebooks, that are the Metas, the Googles, the Microsofts of the future on the blockchain. And we're actually putting money into this fund right now because of a relationship I have. And then, of course, the big one that we're talking about is our investment in what I call our OpenAI killer. We believe that this company is going to solve AGI, or artificial general intelligence, and do so in a way that is open source, decentralized, and shares this technology with us, people, and isn't controlled by these trillion-dollar technology companies. So we are doing this right now behind the scenes. The Open deal, this deal, sorry, right here is closing soon, as is the Open deal as well. And we're really excited about empowering these companies and these CEOs. And it all comes down with this, which is our vision and philosophy of the future. We believe that the greatest way to predict the future is to create it. It's that simple. I'll say that one more time. The greatest way to predict the future is to create it. Does anybody feel the same way here? Raise your hands if that's how you feel, right? I don't believe when you see all these things happening, I don't believe the greatest thing to do is to complain about it. As Bezos once said, complaining is not a strategy. If I thought it would help, I would walk down the street at Parliament here and protest out in front with those white banners, and I could camp out in front of Parliament. Some people do that. I don't think that's the best way either. I can try to fearmonger and scare people. I don't think that's the best way. I'm going to create it instead. And that's what we're actually doing behind the scenes with our media platform, our investments, my interviews, our academy, and even these conversations I'm having with you right now. This is all based on our mission here at London Real, which is to create a mass scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. If you ever have the honor of coming to our studio here in London, this is literally plastered on our wall to remind us every day why we're here. And this is the same as our investing thesis. We invest in companies that are trying to make us as a species fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative. And that allows us to invest in the correct companies. And trust me, I would not invest in a Microsoft. I would not invest in a Meta, and I wouldn't invest in a Google or an Alphabet, whatever the hell they want to call themselves, because they have a track record of not empowering people, of not being cooperative, or maybe they do on the surface now, or of not trying to promote consciousness. And so that really separates us from actually most fund managers don't think the way we do. We're very conscious as far as our investing. And also, I've got personal reasons to make this happen, very personal reasons, 2 of them exactly. And these 2 bandits were wreaking havoc on me this morning, that's for sure. And this is Caden and Damon, 7 years old, almost 6 years old, and they are the future. And in 10 years, they will be teenagers, and they will have a teenage existence unlike anything experienced by humans in the last 200,000 years. Nothing like mine. And I'm very concerned that they even have a world where they can survive in. I'm actually very concerned about this. And so I'm getting up extra early, doing extra interviews, doing more of these master classes with you so we can get the right people involved to help us change the future. Does that make sense to everybody? It's pretty simple. I'm a pretty simple guy, right? Pretty simple. So that's what I'm doing here. The cat, not so much. If he makes it, that's good. If not, well, no, we'll bring the cat along. But I'm definitely concerned about the boys and, of course, my community. So let's jump into it. Again, tons of money going into this space. A $1.3 billion investment into this personal AI that we're seeing with Inflection AI is a massive investment. Also, again, France Mistral's AI, $100 million investment for a company that's 4 weeks old, mind-blowing. But this doesn't happen on a regular basis, folks. This should tell you something. Salesforce, which is really an enterprise solution for corporations, is putting $500 million into a fund because even they know they have to invest. And of course, China's ByteDance scooped up $1 billion worth of these super chips from NVIDIA that power all the GPUs that process AI. Folks, if you don't know it now, tons of money is being dumped into the space because it literally is the future. Now, look, I went back to MIT last year and I stopped by the Sloan School of Management. By the way, Peter, my guest today, also graduated from MIT before I did. And he was just there for four days this week. And he said, Brian, it was incredible. He said, I was bumping into colleague after colleague that were talking to me about the future of AI. He said, I bumped into one colleague and then a company that he's investing in that he says has already laid out something that's 1,000 times more powerful than ChatGPT. And then he said that I bumped into another colleague that showed me something that's potentially 1,000 times more powerful than that. And he said it was just amazing being in these hallways because I forgot what a special place it is, because it really is a place where the knowledge comes first. And so when I stopped by last year, I went by the MIT Sloan School of Management, which is the business school attached to MIT. And I spent time at both places. And the professors there said, Brian, an AI productivity boom is coming. Like, you have no idea. By the way, this is before ChatGPT came out to the public. And I heard what they were saying. I kind of processed it. Then I went over to my fraternity house where there's 50 young men about to go out into the world. And I said, where are you guys going to work? Are you going to Wall Street? That's where I went. You going to work for McKinsey, one of the consultancy firms? You going to work for Google? They said, no, we're going to work for AI, metaverse, blockchain startups. That's it. So again, follow the talent, follow the money, folks. It's all pointing in one direction, artificial intelligence. Now let's look at some of the downside. Goldman Sachs has just put out this study that said 300 million full-time jobs are going to be in jeopardy because of AI. 300 million, folks. That's the population of America, basically. You know, that's probably 1/10 of the global workforce gone. Do you think this is going to cause massive social change in the world? Put your hands up if you think you are. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, we are going to see riots in the streets. We are going to see mass unemployment. We will probably see protests, starvation, mayhem is going to come on the back of this. And I personally don't think universal basic income is going to solve the problem. I think that's going to create more problems, more control, and the wealth gap, which is already at its widest in the entire time that humans have been around, is going to get even wider. We know during COVID, there was a billionaire created every single day. Imagine all those billionaires now powered with AI. They're going to make it even more. And so everybody needs to be concerned right now. This is Max Tegmark. He's a professor at MIT. I'm having a bit of an MIT day today. And I had him on the show recently. And Max is also the president of the Future of Life Institute. This is the guy that wrote the letter that said, we need to pause AI development for 6 months. Does anybody remember that letter? Right? That's the guy. So he's an MIT professor. Again, he's good friends with Elon Musk, who signed that letter. And they said, we got to pause because this is crazy. Like, we have to pause this. 6 months isn't going to make a difference. But if we pause this, we might be able to understand it. Otherwise, we're going to kill ourselves. And so I decided I needed to talk to Max on the show to find out what he was worried about. And this is what Max told me.
We are either going to become empowered as a species to really be the masters of our own destiny and use artificial intelligence to solve all the problems we've been stumped by so far, or we're going to go extinct.
I think you have said that when it comes to AI, we're not in an arms race. It's actually a suicide race. Where you think we're headed and why everyone needs to pay attention to this now.
The worst case scenario is lights out for all of us. Why was it that GPT-J seemingly persuaded a Belgian man recently to commit suicide, or that another chatbot tried to convince a New York Times journalist to leave his wife? It was not because some engineer involved in building it was like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna mess with these people. No, it's just they had no idea it was gonna do these things. They're gigantic black boxes. Pressing the start button is basically like playing Russian roulette. That's why the biggest threat right now, I think, is instead coming from the private market, where everybody is just trying to make more money. You can make a lot of money on things in the short term, even if you don't understand how they work.
There's no history on this planet of a less intelligent being ever either surviving or having any type of reality that they used to have. There's a good argument to say this is really important to stay aware of.
If we're up against something more intelligent and it wants to get rid of us, it'll be in a way that we can't even imagine. And probably for a reason also that we can't imagine. If we get this right, there's just an enormous upside. So if we can amplify our intelligence with artificial intelligence, it's just mind-boggling how amazing things we could do. Where people can live healthy, wealthy, inspiring lives in a world where AI just helps bring out the best in us.
All right, what do we think of the professor? We liking some of his ideas? He's really worried about this race to zero. He calls it Moloch. Actually, Moloch is kind of like a concept that's been talked about for maybe even a couple thousand years. And that is that humans will actually do things to compete with each other that ultimately is in our worst interests. Does that make sense to everybody here? Right? Like, for example, developing the nuclear bomb and then making thousands and thousands of them and pointing them at each other, right? That's what's currently going on right now, by the way, right? And so it's like, why would we do this? It's like a game theory thing. It's like part of us wants to get the innovation and get the next win, but we don't realize over the long run and collectively, we literally will kill ourselves. And look, there are examples in history where we found a way not to do that, right? We haven't yet done it with nuclear power or nuclear arms and missiles. But there's also plenty of examples where we end up going and doing something in our own personal self-interest or in the shareholders' interest that ends up killing us all anyways. We're really good at that. And AI is the perfect example where we might do that. And the crazy thing about these scientists is they've been spending their whole life to develop this. Are you really going to tell them that their entire life's work, since a kid, they've been dreaming about AGI, and now you're going to say, no, go sit on your hands and go work on Instagram for the rest of your life? Does anyone think they're going to do that? Probably not, right? So we have to really think about the reality of what's happening. So I try to surround myself with people like him. Obviously, I spoke with Peter Diamandis today. We'll have that released next week to keep us up to date with what's really going on. And again, this came out, I think it was actually today, is that, you know, that Barron's is now recognizing that this concept of open source models are a threat. And if there's one thing I want you to take away tonight, this is the key, because this is how I think we actually are going to make billions of dollars right here inside London Real Ventures over the next decade. The key is open source models are a threat. Now, what just happened 2 days ago? Facebook took their Llama, their large language model 2, and they open sourced it out. So they give it to the public and they give it to Microsoft. They do that because that potentially is a way of getting development faster when you put it out to the hive mind and then you allow anybody anywhere to innovate. Now, the downside is it might be dangerous and it could go into terrorists' hands or criminals' hands, and they might use the AI to rob you, to hijack power grids, to set off nuclear bombs in bad places. So this is what we're dealing with here, folks. But the open source is key, and I want you to pay attention to this leaked memo that came out of Google a few months ago. Not enough people are talking about this. What is this memo about? So this was a senior AI person at Google, and they leaked a memo, and it shocked the world. This is what they said. The text here is on the right. And they said, look, we have been competing with OpenAI, right? Who's going to win? But the uncomfortable truth is this: they are being beaten by a third entity, right? And you ask yourself, right, Sean, who's this third entity, right? Pat, you're like, who's this third entity? Somebody I haven't heard of? Who is it? And they're talking about open source, exactly what Zuck just did with this Llama model, all right? Plainly put, this senior AI executive said, they are lapping us, as in open source is smoking companies with tens of billions of dollars and tens of thousands of AI scientists. Does this surprise anybody, by the way? Does this shock anybody? Did me a little bit. I thought 10 billion and, Microsoft or Google backing is going to keep all the little guys out, but I was wrong. Of course, they quote Lambdas or Llamas, Meta's open source model, as the reason, but look at what they're saying. Within just days, major developments are happening with these open source AI. Days, right? This is taking some of these companies years, right? And again, anyone can tinker. Many of the new ideas, you can see this in white, are coming from ordinary people, right? High school students, right? This is like truck drivers that are playing with this in their spare time, because when you get the hive mind involved, you can get all these crazy innovations from everywhere. People aren't worried about PR problems and lawsuit problems and protecting intellectual property. They're just doing this for the pure joy of making something better, right? The final part is key. The barrier to entry for training and experimentation has dropped so low, it's dropped down to one person, a beefy laptop, and an evening at home. That's where the developments are happening. Does that make anybody is that crazy? Raise your hands if that kind of blows your mind, right? So here we are, folks. The tables just got turned. And by the way, this is going to happen a lot in AI going forward, right? And by the way, there's evidence of this, because if you look at AI image models, by the way, raise your hands. Do you know there's AI image models? They create these images. I mean, again, mind blown, right? So DALL-E was the closed source, basically ChatGPT image model. And you can see back in August of last year, less than a year ago, the open source Stable Diffusion image generator completely beat it now. It completely overtook how fast it's overtaking the closed source. And if you can see it now, it's doing 4 times more output, the open source. So there's already proof in AI that open source is going to be potentially the winner. And now we're seeing it now, and now we're seeing it with Llama being developed. So enter our hero, Dr. Ben Goertzel. This is a picture of me and Ben 4 years ago. We look a little younger. When Ben came to my studio to talk about this thing I hadn't really talked about before called artificial intelligence. Back then, 2019, let's be honest, nobody cared about AI. Did anybody here care about AI in 2019? Raise your hand. Don't lie to me. Okay. Oh, okay. Sean did. Sean's probably a professor at a university or something. Okay, great. I mean, it was on my radar, but look, Ben is one of the preeminent AI experts in the world. He's top 10 easily. He spent like 35 years working on AI. He coined the term AGI. Let me repeat that. He coined the term artificial general intelligence that I use today with Peter Diamandis probably 20 times. That's his expression, because he's such an OG in this space. And honestly, folks, he told me all about AI. It was a 2-hour interview. I was amazed. He walked out the door, and an hour later, I forgot everything he told me. I was busy. I had things to do. I had guests coming the next day. I had Dan Pena coming to yell at me. I had David Goggins doing pull-ups. I got things to do, and it wasn't even on my radar up until 6 months ago. When ChatGPT dropped, I thought, we got to have Ben back. So I called Ben back, and he said, hey, Brian, things are great. My token, Singularity Net, by the way, the ticker is AGIX, is up 10x. He's like, I got hundreds of millions of dollars more in the treasury and it's all kicking off. I said, Ben, you need to come back on and tell me what is going on here. So Ben came back on the show and I said to Ben, all those predictions you made 4 years ago, have you changed the timeline of those predictions? And actually, we had a little bit of a bet here at London Real and in the Academy about what he was going to do as far as moving those time frames in. And his prediction for AGI came in from 2029 back down to 2025. And this is what Ben told me.
We are leaping into the great unknown, creating machines that are much smarter than us. This is either exciting or frightening or both, depending on your personality.
Will AI exterminate humanity?
Eliezer Yudkowsky, a decade or two ago, he said, the AI does not love you. The AI does not hate you, but it can use your atoms for something else. Actually, my view tends to be that AI is the greatest hope we have to save humanity from exterminating itself.
I don't think anyone in the world understands how this will be the most transformational time in human history.
I have a 5-year-old son, a 1-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old granddaughter. By the time they're turned 18, the whole texture of human life and the nature of the world they grow up into is going to be incredibly different from the world that we see now. Like, they're never going to have to get jobs. On the whole, I'm an optimist. I have a spiritual or intuitive feeling that things are going to come out awesomely in the next 10 years. We're going to overcome material scarcity. We're going to create machines that can feed into our brains via brain-computer interfacing and help uplift human consciousness. And we're going to port into virtual worlds and achieve like states of intelligence and awareness going way beyond anything we can imagine now. So that's what the Captain Kirk in my head thinks. We're on the verge of engineered utopia. It's incredible. It's a remarkably weird and fortuitous thing to be living at such a time.
All right, what do we think of Dr. Ben Goertzel? Are we feeling his vibe here? We liking it? Christopher, you liking him? Yeah? Okay, a few others. Patrick's feeling it, Sean. I love how he said, Jane, he said, the AI doesn't love you. The AI doesn't hate you, but it might have a better use for your atoms. It's possible for all of us, right? Yeah, you too, Pat. So it's possible. Look, Ben sees both scenarios. He sees a future of massive abundance, right? The cost of everything could potentially go to zero, but there's also the potential that these AIs are going to dominate. And so afterwards I said, look, Ben, we are investing in AI protocols. Would you be our AI advisor for London Real Ventures? And he said, Brian, let me come back to you. I want to show you something. So 2 weeks later, he called me up and said, Brian, I've got to get on a Zoom call because I want to tell you about our brand new project. It's our response to ChatGPT. And we think we've already won. We think they're playing checkers and we're playing chess. And we know your mission is to transform humanity. And we want you to be a part of it. And so, of course, I was very interested because I'm a huge fan of Ben. I've known him for a long time. And he introduced me to this incredible woman. This is Janet Adams. She's the COO, Chief Operating Officer of SingularityNet. She spent about 15 years in banking. She's very tough. She's very organized, but also has an amazing way of looking at the world and empowering AI scientists via SingularityNet for the past few years. And he said, Brian, we are creating a brand new company called Zarka. And this is going to be our big, large language model play, but we're going to work on artificial general intelligence, not this narrow AI that tries to predict the next word. He said, that's all that ChatGPT is doing, and we think it's limited. And so I had the pleasure of meeting Janet on the Zoom call. Then I went out here in London. They had a get together for SingularityNet, and I was massively impressed. And I said, Janet, we got to get you in this leather chair so you can explain what you're doing and the world can really understand what this is all about. And so luckily, I'm very good at moving fast here. And she said, okay, Brian, let's do this. And we got her into the chair. And this is what she told me on that day. Still kind of boggles my mind what she was talking about. But this is what she said about their brand new company called Zarka.
Artificial general intelligence is completely different to narrow AI. AGI is more purpose-driven. It's a watershed moment for humanity.
Tell me about Zarka. This is the project that will create the AGI. It's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic, large language model at massive scale. What is it?
Zarka is the accumulation of decades of research from teams containing the best artificial intelligence scientists in the world. We uniquely harness that expertise with our even more unique capabilities in neural symbolic techniques and the deeply advanced mathematics that Dr. Ben Goertzel, Dr. Matt Ickley, Dr. Alexei Potapov, and our top scientist, Sergei Shalyapin, have been working on for decades. We are building the most powerful large models ever invented.
With Zarka and SingularityNet and everything you've always done, it's always been about openness. It's always been about decentralization.
We'll be using blockchain technology to enable anybody to help train models. We're giving birth to a new species of sentient life in the universe. The actual greatest imperative is that they are used for good. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. Our goal, our mission is to eradicate inequalities.
When I look at the rest of the market now, I don't see any of those motivations because a corporation, by definition, is going to be motivated by money. You're the only project that even is thinking in any way, shape, or form about these.
We are going to transform what it means to be human on our planet. I foresee a future in which humans then evolve to a next level of being where we are actually conscious, where we feel our full joy engulfed in bliss and ecstasy of the joy of living, the joy of each other. I see a future of joy.
We like Janet. We feeling Janet's vibes. Come on, give it up for Janet Adams, right? She is the perfect counterbalance and she's the perfect organizer in, quite honestly, an industry full of male on the spectrum scientists, PhD, AI people, right? It's just true. And actually her and Ben work really, really well together, and as does the entire team. And what I really like about her vision is it dovetails perfectly with our vision of the future. And they want to make this decentralized. They want to make this open source. They're already on the blockchain. It's in their DNA. They want to do the opposite of what we see our friends Mark and Satya doing, right? They want to make this available to you, and they want to create artificial general intelligence. So this AI has logic to where it's not going to go do something crazy like we've all heard. And so look, this is Zarka. I call it the open AI killer. We're actually closing this project very, very soon. We've already raised nearly $1 million that we're putting in this thing. And we couldn't be more excited to be a part of this. And so look, folks, 2023 is clearly the year of AI. Clearly, and you will never get a chance like this ever again. You cannot afford to wait to be involved in this space, either from a knowledge base and investments or actually using it in your daily life, business life, whatever. The people that adopt early are going to be the ones that quite literally dictate the future. And so you might ask yourself, where and how do we invest? Well, it's simple. First of all, you have to find the hottest trend. For us, it's obviously artificial intelligence, and it's open source artificial intelligence in a decentralized way. We think that's going to be the ultimate winner. To find that, you're going to have to concentrate on 3 important things: deal flow, and more deal flow. What do I mean? Raise your hand if you know what I mean by deal flow. Just can I get a rough idea here? You know what I mean? Well, let's say, for example, Zarka, right? I would have never seen that deal if I hadn't have interviewed Ben 4 years ago and kept him in my network of 1,000 guests. So that just isn't, and then therefore I could have never shared that opportunity with you or the people in our London Real investment family here. So again, I need to be in the right places at the right time, connected to the right people, and also be talking about the right things and being ready to invest. For example, just having money doesn't mean this deal is going to happen. I could have $1 billion and not know this is happening. I could be the greatest expert in AI and not know this deal is happening. So deal flow is crucial, which is why that's what I spend my time on. So when I'm not in the studio talking to Peter Diamandis, when I'm not here with you, when I'm not teaching in my academy, you know, when I'm not doing all the things I do here at London Real, I'm on the road trying to source deal flow. This is it, folks. This is what I do. This is me in Dubai last year at GITEX, which is the largest technology conference in the world. 100,000 people here, flying cars everywhere. It's crazy. I'm hanging out with some of the biggest influencers in the space, members of the Dubai government that are now involved in AI, and some of the biggest venture capital firms there in that part of the world. I'm a huge fan of Dubai, by the way. Then I was back to Paris. I had private dinners with big venture capitalists and some of the hottest tech startups out there. I'm doing media, and I'm hanging out with some of the companies we've already invested in here at London Real. Upper right-hand corner is both Swissborg and Cross the Ages. Then I'm back to London, going to Token 2049 and spending time with Yatsu. Yatsu is the man when it comes to the metaverse. He runs a $4 billion company that's invested in over 400 metaverse and AI empowered companies. And I'm hanging out with him in the studio, broadcasting incredible conversations, and of course, spending more time with influencers and venture capital. Then I'm back to Paris. I get to hang out with Tim Draper, one of the legendary Silicon Valley investors. On the bottom is Dan Tapiero, one of the legendary East Coast investors. And of course, more portfolio companies, more important people that I'm there. And then, of course, I bounced over to Texas at the Consensus Conference, where I met up with Ben Goertzel again and the entire Singularity Net team. I took members of our investment club with me so we could source deals. I got to hang out with William Shatner, Captain Kirk from the Starship Enterprise, because he's working with one of our companies, Orange Comet. And by meeting Captain Kirk, one of my childhood heroes, I also got to introduce one of our portfolio companies to Yatsu of Animoca Brands, because we're hoping Orange Comet does an IPO next year and gets us a 200, 300, 400x return on our investment. That is a big return, by the way. That's a $10,000 investment getting you $4 million. Like, that's real money. $1,000 investment making you $400,000. So I'm constantly working behind the scenes to source the deals and make sure our portfolio companies make it to these massive valuations. Does that make sense for everybody here, right? I'm trying to create $10 billion of wealth for my group here inside London Real. We call it our investment club over the next 10 years. And just watch me, I'm going to do it. So that's what we do here behind the scenes, folks. And if you want to be successful, it's quite simple. You have to invest with the best. That's the only way you're going to make this happen. How do you do that? You have to be evaluating every single deal out there. And this is what we do. We look at every single deal that comes across our table in artificial intelligence and the metaverse and blockchain and anything that could really transform the future. And we're constantly evaluating these deals. We have a CEO live pitching their deal on our Zoom calls, just like this Zoom call. Martini was there. We had one on last night pitching us. We have one coming on Monday. It's actually an AI company on Monday. Last night, it was an AI-powered, blockchain-based social media gaming company. Fascinating companies. We're constantly talking to these CEOs. We don't invest in every single one of them. Matter of fact, we say no most of the time. But when we do say yes, it's a big one. And that way we educate ourselves. I educate my classmates through doing, all right? I'm not a guy that goes into a lecture hall and writes a bunch of things on the board. I'm a person that learns by doing, and that's how I get you to learn, by doing. All the members of my investment club, by the way, source deals. They all go to conferences and they all partake in this stuff, which means they learn and they get better. You also have to understand the financial tools. Folks, if you don't understand the tools, you're going to give your money away to some random individual and you'll never see it again. By the way, whenever there's an exciting growth industry, what do you have alongside of it? A bunch of really bad deals. Does that make sense for everybody, right? A bunch of ways to lose a lot of money. And look, this could be bad people that have bad intentions, or this could be people that just have good intentions but don't have good planning. But there's a million ways to lose all your money here. Trust me. You got to understand the financial tools. And so this is the way we're doing it, because this is the correct way. Early stage metaverse and artificial intelligence equity investments. It's the hottest opportunity out there right now, and it's the only way we're investing. Why? Well, first of all, you buy at super low valuations. This is crucial, because that way you see the biggest gains. Again, we're looking for 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000x returns on our money. Unheard of on Wall Street, right? This is called asymmetric returns. You get to invest in the biggest dislocation of wealth in human history, which is this amazing technology. And yes, it's high risk. I'm going to admit it's very high risk, but it's an even higher reward. We do that via early stage funding. That's either through seed funding, startup funding, or early growth funding, depending on where the project is in its growth stages. Anyone want to see an example of this in the works? Yeah, anyone want to see a case study? This is exactly how you can do it. This is how it was done. Enter our friend Mark, who's making friends with everybody these days, right? And Peter Thiel, legendary Silicon Valley investor. I'm going to show you exactly how Peter took $500,000, which is pocket change for him, and turned it into $1 billion, which is not pocket change for him. He did it all through Facebook, which is now Meta. Does anyone want to see how? Raise your hands. All right, let's show you. Back in 2004, Peter took $500,000 and he invested it in Facebook via early stage equity private placement. Does that sound familiar? Right? At the time, he valued Facebook at $10 million. What happened? 8 years later, in 2012, Mark took the company public. He sold shares to the public, right? To people like you, Laura, people like you, Christopher, Fabian, Patrick, right? On Wall Street, we call you guys sheep, right? Because sheep get slaughtered. And they sold company shares to the public, to your pension funds, to people like you that don't know any better. But you didn't get the company for $10 million. You had to pay $100 billion for the same company that Peter bought. What happened? Peter made a 230,000% gain on his investment. That's a 2,300x return. Has anyone here ever made that kind of money? Now, look, I worked for 15 years at the highest levels of international finance. I started on Wall Street. Then I moved to the First National Bank of Chicago. Then I moved here in London, worked for ICAP PLC. My customers were Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, all the big players. And I never met one of them that made a 230,000%. This is unheard of. And by the way, what happened to the stock price after they sold it to you, Patrick, Fabian, Christopher, Laura? What happened to the stock price? How'd you do on your investment? It went down. Okay, this is what they teach us on Wall Street. The public are used to make other people wealthy. And what's the lesson? The wealthy invest in early stage deals. A simple $10,000 investment would have made you $23 million. Say you only had $1,000, right? Laura, that makes you 2.3 million. Who could use an extra 23 million right about now? Put your hands up. Anybody? No, not everybody, right? Patrick's like, nah, more money, more problems, Brian. No, you keep the 23 mil. It's okay. No problem. We can hold on to that for you. But I'm telling you, it only takes one. One of these deals changes your life, your children's life, your grandchildren's life. If you don't have one of these in your portfolio, you're a fool, in my opinion. What else did we learn? The public markets are for suckers. If you go out and buy a share of Tesla or a share of Apple or a share of Facebook on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange or the FTSE, somebody like Peter has already made all of the money on that transaction. Raise your hand if that makes sense to you. Yes? By the way, this also happens if you go and buy crypto. If you go buy some Ethereum now or some Solana now, trust me, someone like Peter has already made the 1000x and you're not going to make it. Who here owns crypto, by the way? Raise your hand if you own some crypto. Come on. Show some love to my blockchain people. Good. Well, this happens in crypto, by the way, all the time. It's called a pre-sale token. It's the same practice. You buy a token at a pre-agreed price before it gets listed on an exchange. Let me show you an example. Anybody know this protocol? It's called Solana. Raise your hand if you've heard of it or you're invested in it. A few of you. Okay. Christopher's hand sprung up, right? Well, guess what? They did a pre-sale token back in April 5th of 2018. Can you see the price there, Christopher? Can you see that price? How many cents is that? Can you show me some fingers, Christopher? How many cents is that? 4 cents you could buy those tokens. By the way, this is on the blockchain. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. Now look, what did they raise? They raised 3.17 million. Not a lot of money, right, Chris? These are early companies, right? What did Peter Thiel put in Facebook? 500,000. These people put 3.17 million. What did they bought 79.3 million tokens. What happened? Solana's now at 20 some dollars. Maybe it's higher now. You would have made a 59,000% return on that investment. Christopher, did you get some of that action? Did you get some of those 4 cent tokens, Christopher? Come on. You did? No? Anybody else? Of course you didn't, because you're not in the deal flow. You don't know anybody that can call you up and say, hey, Christopher, I'm going to get you in on this special deal, right? You don't know someone like me who's seen these deals. So what happens? Christopher, I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but you probably bought Solana on the market for $200, right? Back when everybody was going crazy for Solana, right? Your grandma probably bought it at $200 when it was going crazy, right? And you would have lost 90% of your money, which is what most people did in Solana. Is everyone starting to see what happens here, right? As a member of the public, you get jacked on a regular basis. That's why nobody wants you to know about these things. All my buddies on Wall Street, they hate it every time I go live to teach one of these courses, because it means that their model is going to break one day. Because on Wall Street, we all know what to do. The rich get richer, they pay us, and the poor get poorer. That's how it works. You are used for liquidity for other people getting rich. Is that clear for everybody? If you learn one thing tonight, you should know this. But we're changing all of this. By the way, no one is teaching this anywhere in the world. Nobody, except for us. So how do you create generational wealth? That's what Laura's thinking. She's like, come on, Brian. As one of my mentors used to say, he'd say, okay, I know why you're here, Brian. You want to know how to get the effing money, right? How do I get the effing money? Okay, let's talk about it. You got to pull the trigger. There's no way you're going to go home and sleep tonight and wish your way to wealth. You've got to pull the trigger, Laura. How do we do it? Deal flow. These are snapshots of the over 200 pitch decks we've seen here inside London Real Ventures and the Investment Club over the past 18 months. We have another 200, by the way. This is what we see on a regular basis. It's deal flow, deal flow, deal flow. We track every single one of these deals in something called our deal flow monitor. We track the name of the deal, the vertical it's in, the blockchain it's on, if it's an equity investment, a token investment, how much are they looking to raise? 1 million, 3 million, 5 million. What's the valuation? 20 million, 50 million, a billion. We track everything here. And then we pull the trigger. This is Orange Comet. This is Dave Broom. This guy's got so much energy. He came on our call. I still remember it. Martini remembers it. It blew everybody away. This guy's a 25-year Hollywood veteran. He was responsible for the first reality show on Netflix with Sylvester Stallone. He just finished this documentary film with Jennifer Lopez called Halftime. He created the massive global series called The Biggest Loser with people like losing weight. His name's Dave Broom. He's got so much energy, and he's bringing Hollywood pizzazz and storytelling to the blockchain, which quite frankly desperately needs it. And he did things obviously for William Shatner of Star Trek, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Scottie Pippen of the Bulls, the NFL, Walking Dead, Fast and Furious movie franchise. The list goes on and on and on. They're crushing it. I would play this video for him. You can go watch it later. He's got so much energy. It's just amazing. We're so excited to be working with these people. And again, you know, when you see this guy on a call, based on everything I can teach you, you'll know right away you want to pull the trigger on this deal. We couldn't be more excited. Next is Swissborg. This is the #1 crypto wealth manager in Europe. They are literally building the bank of the future. They're building the NASDAQ of the blockchain, and we couldn't be more excited to invest with them. By the way, we are going to use this platform to potentially take our companies public in the future. We are building like a London Real empire here of future-based finance on artificial intelligence, blockchain, metaverse. And this is all part of our plan. And you can be a part of it. This is our press release with Swissborg. This is Vadim. Again, the guy I just had on the show, Peter Diamandis, legend, is on the board of directors of this company. I'm an advisor to this company. We're an investor. We put $500,000 in this company with all of our members. And they're creating the metaverses for all of the major brands of the world. It's so your grandma can get into the metaverse without knowing what a wallet is or without knowing what Bitcoin is. It's an incredible thing. This is my interview with Eric. You can go watch it online. It's racking up views. And this, of course, is open. This is Jason Ma on the left. He should be in studio in the next month. It's our hottest new Web3 super app for artists and creators. That's what happens when Amazon meets WhatsApp. We're closing this deal as we speak. By the way, this deal we're getting in on because of my relationship with Animoca Brands. And because of that relationship, we're getting in on one of the hottest deals that closed last year. By the way, the deal is closed and we're still getting in. And we're investing alongside some of the biggest venture capital firms in the world. And because of my relationship with Yatsu, because of my media platform, I can give you this opportunity because you're a London Reeler. That's how we do this. That's how we do this. And that's unheard of, unheard of. And of course, this is a massive fund we're investing in. And if you want to invest in the bricks and mortar of the blockchain, because of my relationship with this fund manager, we're getting access to $1 billion fund. Again, this is unheard of as well. You would never get access to a fund like this. You would have to be a pension fund with $50 million or maybe a union with $100 million just to get access to his fund. But of course, we're getting in because he's a huge fan of London Real and London Real Ventures as well. And of course, there's our OpenAI killer. And look, this is the deal. It's called Zarka. It's the supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic, large language model from SingularityNet at massive scale. Folks, you know what's going on. This is the hottest AI group of technologists and scientists in the world, all led by Dr. Ben Goertzel. And by the way, these scientists, they don't want to work for Mark Zuckerberg. They don't want to work for Satya Nadella. They want to work for Ben Goertzel because he's the best of the best. And look, we know it's the ChatGPT moment, but this is the problem, folks. Read these red circles. Deep neural nets, which is the basis of ChatGPT, has no ability to reason in complex world environments. They don't know when they're wrong. Raise your hand if you've caught a ChatGPT hallucinating and making stuff up. Anybody here been there? Yeah, Sean has. They make stuff up all the time. I caught them the other day. They were talking about guests I haven't had on London Real. This is dangerous, folks. What happens when they make something up and they just, kill a few million people, right? They memorize instead of thinking. Enter neurosymbolic AI. Now, because of the deep, deep knowledge of artificial general intelligence that this team has been working on for decades, they're going to create neurosymbolic AI that can have logical reasoning, that can actually discern right from wrong. And it's going to escape the AI monopoly. It's going to make it decentralized, diversive, inclusive, open source, and on the blockchain. Folks, this is a no-brainer, right? They're going to do proof of concept this year, roll out the products next year. They already have AGI supremacy. They're projecting $55 billion conservatively in revenue. You put 100x multiple on that, which is conservative for this industry in AI, you got a $5 trillion company. It's the biggest company in the world. And what I like most about this deal is I like these people. They're aligned the same way we are, right? They have ethics and morals and values, and they want to do the right thing for humanity. And if I got to trust my son's lives in someone's hands, it's going to be Janet and Ben, quite frankly, folks, right? And by the way, you can't wait. You have to make this choice, because if you don't choose right now to invest in one of these companies, you've made a choice, right? You've made a choice to hand the keys over to Mark and Satya. Does anyone want to do that here? I don't think so. So that's why we're so excited. That's why I'm promoting them. I've had Ben on the show 4 different times. We're talking about them in media. We're raising money and we're raising awareness for this incredible company. And so my question for you is simple. Is this the next 1000x return investment? Raise your hand if you think it could be. We think it could be, right? Which is why we're all in on this technology. And so this is the value prop we add, folks. We're so excited. This is an amazing time in my history. I never thought I would ever be doing this, quite frankly. I ran away from finance, but you know, just when you try to get out, they drag you back in, the London Reelers. But now we're doing it in a way that is completely aligned with my values. And so we've already made some incredible investments, and this is our quadruple threat. This is why we are seeing the best deals in the world. And that's why I can give you access to the best deals in the world, because we do, number one, production. I create an amazing piece of media that no one in the world can produce. And I put the CEO in the chair and create an organic video asset that will deliver massive gains for that company. Number two, I distribute it to 5 million subscribers worldwide, potential customers, investors, influencers, you name it. Number three, I connect you to all the capital in this space. Again, more influencers, more people that could literally change the course of your brand. And number four, we write you a big fat check on top of it, right? As my grandpa said, money talks and BS walks. So we put the check on the line. So how do you learn how to invest? That's what you're asking yourself right now. How do you learn how to do this? And I'm going to tell you how, all right? You surround yourself with the best people. Now, how many people agree with this statement on the screen? You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Raise your hand if you agree with that. Come on, let me see those hands. Laura does, Robert does, Chris does. Fabian, you with me? Patrick, still not sure. Patrick's like, more money, more problems. I'm going to stick with my friends. Okay, so let me ask you a very honest question. Is your 5 people that you surround yourself with right now, and if you don't know who they are, look at your phone. The last 5 people that texted you are probably your 5 closest people. Are any of those billionaires? Raise your hand if they are. Are any of those building a $1 billion business? Okay. Are any of those given a TED Talk? Have any of those been on London Reel? Are any of those doing a high performance act in their life right now? How many do you have in your life? 1, maybe 0. Well, then how do you ever expect to be successful? Because here's the truth, folks. I could give you the most information possible. You could be totally inspired. You could have all the greatest books in the world. You might even have a little bit of money. But if you don't surround yourself with the right peer group, you have 0 chance of ever creating generational wealth or moving the needle on this. How many people, raise your hands if you admit that I'm probably right. Come on. You have to surround yourself with people, because your current peer group, they love you, but they really don't want you to leave the peer group. And if you make $10, $20 million in the next few years, they are worried you're going to leave them. And most likely you will. Now, I know you're saying, no, they'll always be my friends. But the truth is that they kind of like you the way you are. And if you want to break out of that and really change things, you're going to have to associate with an entire new peer group. And that's what I provide inside the investment club. And that's the way I live my life. I'm constantly surrounding myself with new peer groups. And that's why I took my daughter to Boston University last year, because I know she needed a new peer group. She was getting comfortable. She was the smartest girl in her class in London. And I knew if we didn't get her into an uncomfortable place, surrounded by high performance people, she's not going to develop at the rate that she needs to. So she agreed to go to Boston University. Now she's surrounded with total killers, right? And guess what? She's taking her game up like 10 different notches. Does that make sense to everybody here? Yeah. And that's why I went to MIT, quite frankly. I was one of the smartest kids in my high school in San Diego, California. I went to MIT. I'm literally one of the dumbest kids there. I mean, these people, crazy next level stuff. I was really in trouble for the first year. But by my senior year, I was smoking them all. I was beating them at their own game because they had raised my level up. And now I could actually beat them. And that's what we do inside my investment club. This is Marianne Bartels. By the way, we use people's real names in my club because they're real people. She is a 35-year Wall Street veteran, chief information officer of Merrill Lynch Bank of America. She is one of the smartest people I've ever met when it comes to finance. She knows more about stocks and bonds and inflation and yield curves than almost anyone I've ever met. She's one of the founding members of the investment club. She knows what the Federal Reserve in America is going to do before they do it. For all I know, she tells them what to do. This is your new peer group. When Marianne comes on the Zoom calls every week and she wants to talk about the economy, watch me zip my lips and I give her the floor for 15 minutes. This is your new peer group. And by the way, Marianne has invested in Zarka. She's invested in Open. She's invested in Vadim. She's invested in Orange Comet. She's the first one to write the checks. Why? Because she knows what she's doing. This is your new peer group. Meet Andrew Haynes. He is a master of the metaverse. This is a mansion he built in the sandbox to display all of his digital collectibles. He goes to one of the top executive training universities in Switzerland and hangs out with some of the best AI scientists in the world. This is your new peer group, folks. This is Dr. Encore, all right? 16 months ago, he was in medicine. He joined my Crypto and DeFi Academy. He reinvented his entire career, was the founding member of the investment club, and now I just hired him full-time for London Real Ventures. He brought us the Vadim deal. He brought us the Orange Comet deal. I challenged him to start a YouTube channel from scratch a year ago with one video. He didn't want to. He had excuses, like a bunch of you would give me excuses. I don't like the sound of my voice. I'm not ready. I don't have the right camera. I'm like, right camera? What's the thing in your pocket? That's the right camera. The right camera is the one that gets you on video now. He took my challenge, one video in one day, 2 videos in 2 days. A year later, he's got 365 videos, hundreds of thousands of views, and it's no coincidence. He just got offered $100,000 in pre-sale tokens to advise on a company for free. And he turned it down because he has better offers. This could be you, or it could not be if you don't pull the trigger. This is your new peer group, by the way. I got 73 of these people just like that are your new peer group. And so my question for you is this: do you believe in this statement right here on the screen? Your net worth is your network. Raise your hand if you agree. Your net worth is your network. Let me tell you a quick story of that. My senior year at MIT, my network was my 50 fraternity brothers at MIT. Guess what their net worth was? A whole lot of nothing, right? We would have to go into sofas and find coins for beer money, right? We were all broke as a joke. My net worth was my network, basically zero. Is everybody with me here? With me? Then I moved to New York City. I started my job as a trader at Bankers Trust. I went to the 33rd floor of the Liberty Plaza, the building next to the World Trade Center. They had to tear down after 9/11. And on that floor were 300 of the highest level, most alpha men and women in New York City that were going to make massive amounts of money this year. They would fight at the end of the year for $1, $2, $3, $4, $10 million bonuses on that floor. This was my new network. What do you think happened to my salary over the next 4 years? Any guesses? I went from making, I think, $1,000 a year when I was in college to within 2 years, I made $200,000 a year, right? That's what happened. And so is that a coincidence, or is that something that just happened? What do you think? Is that my network? Is that what that is? Right? Did I suddenly get smarter? No, I didn't really. All of a sudden, I surrounded myself with a network of people, and that allowed me to take everything to the next level. And so, folks, I would just say that your network is your net worth. And for me, I realized that just in the course of a couple of years, that everything completely changed. And so you need to surround yourself with incredible high performance people. And if you do that, that is the only chance, in my opinion, that you have to jack up your net worth. I can give you all the knowledge in the world. I can give you the tools. By the way, everyone can see that well, right? I can give you the tools, but unless you surround yourself with the people, it's not going to happen. And I believe in this. You can give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, but you teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Does anybody agree with me on this? Right? That's how you do it. I don't want you coming to me for fish. And that's why I created my investment club. Because 2 years ago, we invested in the hottest gaming company in blockchain called Cross the Ages. We did it through one of those pre-sale tokens, Christopher, right? Just like Solana. That's how we did it. Now, look, I had studied finance at the MIT Sloan School of Management. I spent 15 years at the biggest banks and brokerage firms in the world. And I had never heard of a pre-sale token. And quite frankly, Christopher, it scared the bejesus out of me, right? It happened in days. I was sending stable coins here. I was like, what the heck's going on? And I figured, if I find this confusing, how are any of you ever going to have a chance to learn this? No chance whatsoever. And I thought, I've got to teach this right now. So I called up Martini. I said, we got to teach this. She said, Brian, we are so busy. We're swamped with the Crypto and DeFi Academy. Everybody wants to join. We don't have time, but I knew we needed to do this. And so we created it. And this is what we did. It's called the Investment Club. We open up 10 spaces every quarter. That's it. Only 10 spaces. We are constantly and always oversubscribed. It's 3 months of coursework, 6 modules, and the course is 12 months long. But here's the kicker. No one's ever left my course. So at this point, it's lifetime. Because once you start learning how to fish, why would I want you to leave? Why would I want Marianne Bartels to ever leave me? Why would I want Dr. Encore to ever leave me? So far, no one has ever left. Every single week, we have the top CEOs, top level CEOs coming in to pitch our entire group the hottest deals in the world. Every single week. You will learn so fast. We have a private Telegram group. You get access to all the deal flow, and I give you a full year of our advanced crypto blockchain course, Kings of DeFi, to get you up to speed. The next call, of course, is on Thursday. This is how I teach remotely to over 70 people in over 20 countries. And these are the modules I teach. I teach them in real time because they're constantly changing. So I'm constantly changing the coursework depending on whether the market changes. I'm also constantly changing my wardrobe. Do you like this? Any favorites out there? Anyone like module 2? I like module 2. Any favorites? What do you think, Laura? What module? I like 2. I like the red shirt and the blue tie. That's kind of money. That's my casino look. So I change my wardrobe. I change everything up constantly to make sure I'm teaching the best thing. And this is the syllabus. Module 1 is what is a blockchain AI metaverse presale. I go into deep detail about what I just taught you. Module 2, what is a SAFT or a SAFE? By the way, raise your hand if you know what a SAFT agreement is. Raise your hand. Okay, there's one person on, Robert, and Robert's heard this before. I mean, like one person raised their hand in this entire call. I mean, that is scandalous. I mean, that is embarrassing, the fact that you don't know what these are. Because if you don't know what a SAFT or a SAFE is, you have no chance in your lifetime of ever investing early stage in one of these deals, which means you'll never make 100x, 500x, 1000x on your investments, which means you'll probably stay poor while the banks take most of your money and the pension funds take away your money as well. It's actually scandalous that you don't know these things. And the reason you don't know is because Wall Street doesn't want you to know. And your education system doesn't teach you. By the way, was anyone taught about money in your school? When you were a kid in school, did anyone teach you about money? Really? You're one of the few people, Laura, because most schools don't teach money. And so a SAFT is a simple agreement for future tokens. A SAFE is a simple agreement for future equity. It's how we invest in these companies, folks. If you don't know what they are, you have no chance. And I will teach you this in module 2. Module 3 is Deal Flow Part 1. I teach due diligence. I teach team, traction, technology, tokenomics, terms and conditions, the 5 T's of how we evaluate a deal. Module 4, Deal Flow Part 2. I teach you how to go to a conference. I teach you what to wear, what ticket to buy, where to hang out to get the next hot deal. Deal flow, deal flow, deal flow. That's what I teach. And trust me, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Anybody here have business cards? Raise your hand if you got a business card that you can use at one of the conferences. Yeah, raise your hand. So Christopher and Laura, you both have business cards? Okay, good. because grandma and grandpa, you better leave those business cards at home. All right. Because when you go to one of these blockchain conferences, nobody wants to see your business card. All right. I'm going to teach you how to use Telegram QR codes. All right. I'm going to teach you, once you get their QR code, I'm going to pull up mine right here. Right. I show you something like this. You get that right away. I take a selfie picture with you. I send you that selfie picture on Telegram. I get your deal pitch deck within an hour. I get it back to headquarters. The team evaluates it. And within 12 hours, we can get a response back to the person. All right. There is a method to our madness here. And I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about how you can be a part of this ecosystem and create that generational wealth. All right. Sound good, Christopher? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you guys on the spot there. Sorry, Laura. Sorry. But somebody tried to give me a business card at Consensus in Texas. And I was literally like, get that away from me. Like, I was like, ew. I was like, seriously, I said to this guy, I said, what do you want me to do? You want me to take the card and stick it in my jacket? And then when I get to my hotel later, you want me to pull it out with all my pocket lint? And what do you want me to do? Type in your email address into my phone or computer? Like, what do you think I am? Or what are you, a caveman? Why don't you just give me your club and you can hit me on the head or something? Like, it's ridiculous. So, I mean, literally, you get the selfie, which means they remember you. You get the Telegram code, bam, 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 deal flow, beautiful. You're already having a conversation. I mean, you could close a deal that way, maybe the same day, right? So, Laura, I'm just trying to hit you with just kind of a new way of doing this. And it sounds like a detail, but it's the details that matter here. Anyways, deal flow, module 5 is how you nurture these deals. That's how I went to Consensus and I introduced Orange Comet into Yatsu, and I'm trying to get that going. And module 6 is how do we get the cash out, right? How do we get the cash out? You can keep some of it. We're going to put the rest of the cash back in so we can create that generational wealth, folks. That's what we're looking to do. And this is our private Telegram group. This is our Discord group where we communicate. And this is the deal, folks. We are oversubscribed. We always are. We always have more people than we can get in that want this course than can get in. Out of those 10 spaces, 5 are already confirmed. 2 are on hold. We have 3 spaces left. I think that's 2 spaces because I think Martini closed somebody last night. The investment to go on this lifetime journey with us is $50,000, and it's going to double to $100,000 on the next quarter. Why? Because 3 of my recent members said, Brian, it's worth double. And I said, you're right. So we're going to double it. Now, look, I know it's a significant investment. I realize that, but it has an unlimited financial return. One of my guests, Robert Kiyosaki, he said, look, poor people say, I can't afford it. He said, a rich person says, how can I afford it? Right? Does that make sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense. How can I afford it? Right? It's just like, what if I tell you you're going to make $1 billion? A poor person says, I can't afford it. The rich person says, well, wait a second. If I'm going to make $1 billion, well, how can I afford this? There's got to be a way, And so again, it opens the mind. It also keeps all the riffraff out of this course, because unless you're willing to open your mind to this, you're not going to be much use to me on the inside. And again, it's your chance to take part of the greatest wealth creation event in human history for however long this history lasts. And by the way, the special investment opportunity in Zarka and Open are ending soon. We're talking, you have days left to get in on these deals. Open, I think we're closing on Monday, Martini, and Zarka could close at any moment. As soon as they get the rest of their financing, it closes. Could be Tuesday for all I know. By the way, we had a special investment opportunity on the last quarter. This is a SAFT agreement, by the way, on the right. It looks complicated, but it's not. In that deal, you would have made 466% return in one day. If you had put 10,000 in that deal, you would have paid for the investment club in one day. These are the opportunities we see on a regular basis, folks. I made my investment club $300,000 in one day. And by the way, this wasn't even a big deal. We didn't really expect much. We were bored that week, so we did this deal. That's the truth, the God's honest truth. Okay? We have a track record of success. By the way, this is Cross the Ages, our very first deal we ever invested in. This is Sammy Schlagu, the CEO. This is my interview with him. He is absolutely killing it. They are dominating the App Store everywhere. They made $100,000 in NFTs in 24 hours. After my interview with him, they got a further $12 million investment from Ubisoft and from Animoca Brands. We are expecting a 10x pop on their token this year when they go live. And from there, it's going to go even higher. We have a track record of success in this group. And this is my pledge. This is the pledge to my members of the investment club, is I'm going to create $10 billion for my club in the next 10 years. And watch me, we're going to do it. And by the way, I'm going to tell you how we're going to do it anyway. So you can watch this from the outside and get jealous, or you can be on the inside and get wealthy, but it's going to happen either way. And by the way, this is Jens. He's one of our founding members, and he was on one of these calls the other day. Don't ask me why. He's already a member, but he likes listening to me talk or something. And he came on and he said, Brian, I see these people on these calls and they don't get it. And it bothers me. He's like, I see them. They don't get it. And I'm like, what do you mean, Jens? He's like, they don't get it. They don't see what is right in front of their faces, the greatest opportunity of their lives. And I said, Jens, don't worry about it. We only need 10. I said, it's their loss. Plus, I'm very clear. If they don't get it, then they don't deserve to get it. And I said, they have the chance to pull the trigger. And he said, Brian, I need to explain it to them. I'm going to tell them what they're missing. And I was like, all right, it's up to you. And so he sent me this video and he insisted that I play it for you. So this is Jens.
Why should you join the investment club? And the next obvious question is, can I afford to join the investment club? My name is Jens Krautscheid, and I am an active investor in stocks and companies since age 14. And risking of stating the obvious, I'm German. Also, I am one of the founding members of the investment club. And I consider my decision to join the investment club as one of the best investment decisions I ever made and I ever will make. Why? We all had this pub talk, this talk at the dinner table where we complained about our hustle we have to do daily. We complained on the workload we have, and we try to top up each other who has more stress, who is more hustling. And then sooner or later someone says, well, if I would have been an early stage investor in PayPal, I would be so rich. Or if I would have been an early stage investor in Microsoft, I would be so rich. And this is nice. This is really nice. But let's be honest. If you would have had the chance back then, 1992, to invest in PayPal, would you have pulled the trigger? Would you have invested? Quite likely you wouldn't have, because you couldn't assess the situation. You couldn't value the situation enough. In the investment club, we get these offers on a daily basis. We get the next PayPals on our table. And then we have a team of 50 people, 60 people, of a growing community of people who will do these assessments. And they will say, do this, buy this, this is the way. And then we buy this. And the next question is, can you afford to join the investment club? And the question really should be, can you afford not to join the investment club? Times are getting tougher. AI is taking over. And in what company you want to invest? In which AI company do you want to invest? Do you want to invest in the ones who do the fridges? Or do you want to invest in an early stage Coca-Cola who uses the fridges? It's up to your decision. I tell you now, invest in the investment club and be part of our fabulous, wonderful group. My name is Jens Krautscheid, and I wish you the best decisions of them all.
All right, we like Jens. We feeling Jens, right? He's a lovely guy. And quite frankly, everybody's lovely in that group. They're all amazing. Yes, they're competitive, but quite frankly, they want you to win as well, because when one of us wins, we all win, because we all have the same opportunities to invest in all of these deals. And by the way, it is opportunity. It's your choice to invest in any single one of these deals. It's always your choice, which is unheard of in any other investment fund out there. I'm sure people know that. Laura, I'm sure you know that. If you want to invest in usually this type of caliber deal, you have to write a $250,000 check, put it in like a Pantera. When they put the money in, they don't ask you if you want to be in on these deals. They put your money in the deals they want to be in. With us, you have the choice. If you want to put 0 in Zarka, you can. If you want to put 5,000, as little as 5,000, you can, or you can put 100,000. Somebody put 100 grand in that deal. Each one is up to you, and it's your choice. And so the final thought I wanted to say, and this is something Marianne Bartels, our Wall Street expert, said to me on the very first investment club call in January of last year. She said, Brian, it only takes one. And I said, what do you mean, Marianne? And she said, Brian, I know people that invested in Uber I know people that invested in Google. It only takes one. One of these investments will change your life forever and the lives of your children and your grandchildren. And if you don't have one of these in your portfolio, well, you really better have your head examined, in my opinion. And so final thoughts are, don't let 2023 pass you by. This is the last opportunity to invest in AI, in my opinion. You want to learn early stage investing now because you can use it your entire lifetime. Liquid tokens and equity have limited gains. Anything you go buy on a market, a stock market or a crypto market, you're never going to get 1,000x. Even if you're a hardcore Bitcoiner, nobody thinks Bitcoin's going to 30 million, which is 1,000x. Why? It's already too big. It's a $600 billion protocol. It's not going up 1,000x. It's a dream. You have to invest in something smaller. You can learn from active investors for just 50,000. That's amazing. Not some MIT professor who's never put money in the game, not some podcaster. You're learning from someone like top level VC quality, and you get to do it alongside of them. It's a significant investment. Yes, I agree, with unlimited financial potential. And a few months ago, Martini called me up and said, Brian, we're missing good energy people. We need to set up a payment plan. So we did it. For $10,000 a month for 5 months, you can get in on these deals, which means just for 10 grand, I can get you in on Zarka and open in the next couple of days. By the way, I don't care if you have a lot of money. I don't care if you have a fancy degree. I don't care if you have good connections. I want people with positive energy who share my vision for the future. For me, you're 100 times more dangerous than one of those other people. So that's what we're looking for. And that's why we hold out to make sure that we get the best. And of course, you get to invest in the best deal flow in the world. It's just a no-brainer, in my opinion. And so, of course, remember what Warren Buffett said. He said, the best investment you can make is in yourself. Think about that. And I'll agree with him. Honestly, before you invest in AI, before you invest in Zarka, before you invest in an Orange Comet or a Vadim or an Open or one of these big billion-dollar funds, the best investment you're ever going to get in your life is in yourself. That's just the truth. You're going to get a 10,000x return, 100,000x return in yourself. After that's done, then you invest in these companies. And the best way to invest in yourself is through the investment club. And so if you want to book a call with Martini to talk about this, here are her links. She is the only way you can get access to the investment club. And if you do get on the phone with her, you need to convince her why you need to be in that investment club. She is very busy. She's literally working 24/7 because so many people want to be a part of this. And we try to vet everyone and only allow the best people. If you do get the chance of talking with Martini, I highly recommend you do not waste her time. Make sure you are serious about joining this course now. We all made the mistake one time of wasting Martina's time, and it's the last time we ever made that mistake. So don't waste her time. But if you want to pull the trigger on this, book a call with her. And again, figure out what your why is, folks. They say anyhow is possible for the right why. So if you have a why in your life, like if this is really important to you to change your wealth, to change the future, you'll find a way how to get in on this program. And if your why is weak, you'll find an excuse why you can't. So it's all back up to you. For me, my boys are worth it. They're worth anything. And I will find anyhow. I will accomplish anyhow because they're my why. So figure out what your why is. And if it's important enough, you'll figure out a way how to join us. And that's it, folks. I'd love to go for some questions and answers. Just want to say thank you all for being here. Was that helpful in some way, shape, or form? I hope for you. Good. It was worth my Friday night. We actually are lucky enough to have Martini here. And so while she's here, I'd love to just pass it over to her and she can tell you about how you can make contact with her if you're serious about joining us. Martini, over to you.
Yes. And you're right, Brian. Like, this is totally a rockin' Friday night. I could not think of a different way to spend my Friday. So good to spend it with all of you in the London Real Army here. So I just want everybody to know and just reiterate that we are living in strange and exciting and most of all uncertain times right now. And the question is, are you prepared for what's to come? You know, as Brian's talking about AI and all the innovations and everything that it's doing to either push humanity forward or, you know, the opposite, you know, we definitely want to make sure that we are prepared for everything that is on the horizon as best as we can, right? And so with all of the innovation, you know, we want to make sure that the future is being put in the hands of people who are going to do right by us and to do right by humanity, right? And so in the investment club, we are truly investing in not only projects, not only companies, but we are investing in our future for all of us. And we want it to be in the hands of people who are doing right and that are changing us in the positive light, right? So I know that quite a few people have mentioned to me in the chat today that 50K is a little bit of a significant investment, right? And so what I want to, I definitely want to speak to that. And I really want to say that, yes, that 50K is a significant investment. And yet, with where we're going right now, you can't afford to miss out on this opportunity. You can't afford to say that you did not know when things are progressing in the future. You can't afford to say that you did not know. You can't afford to say that you did not have the resources. You know, you cannot afford to say that you were not tapped in. Brian is giving everybody a significant opportunity right now to change your life and to change the future for the people in your family and those who you love. So when you think about your children, or when you think about your family, or when you think about how things are going, and really think for yourself, can you afford to not invest in them and to invest in yourself? And so I would say, if you guys are looking into changing your financial future and really investing in projects and companies that are really going to make a significant change for all of us, we definitely want you to join the investment club. And one thing that I love about what Brian does is that he is getting all the innovative information. You know, he is truly tapped into things that the average people like us are not tapped into. So take advantage of this opportunity that's not available to any of us, right? So you have an opportunity of a lifetime. So for those of you who are looking into joining us in the investment club, I did put some links inside of the chat. So the first link is going to be for you to go ahead and check out the investment club. Take a look at all of the information that that's in there, as well as what it includes and how we can best support you on your journey. Whether you are seasoned in the investment game, or whether or not you are brand new to all of this, we got you every single step of the way, and we are here to support you. So if all of this is like speaking Greek, don't worry, we will get you up to speed in no time. And we just want to make sure that we get you in so that you can start making investments. You don't have to be, it's not rocket science, but the key is to just be tapped into this community here so that you can start making investments and really securing a good financial future. The next thing here is that I have a link to book a call with me. So after you've taken a look at the investment club page, jot down a few questions so that when you do book a call with me, the call runs smoothly and I can answer all of your questions and make sure that we're going to be a very good connection with one another to get into the investment club. I know that we are spread out all throughout the land. So if you do not see a time that is available on my calendar, please go ahead and send me a private message on Facebook and just let me know who you are, where you're from, and when is the most convenient time for us to connect. And I'll definitely do my best to accommodate. With all that's going on, we need all hands on deck, and you guys are very important to us. So I am willing to work day and night to do my part in making sure that we get everybody up to speed and get everybody connected and plugged into the investment club. So of course, there's always email, but I'm a millennial, so Facebook is always the fastest way to get a hold of me. So guys, I know that Brian dropped a few gems on us, for a rockin' Friday night, but do not let it end here, guys. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, and we definitely don't want you to miss out, but most of all, we definitely want to support you with where it is that you want to go in life. So I hope to connect with you soon, and we hope to see you on the next live call. And back to you, Brian.
Give it up for Martini, right? Come on, she's amazing. Martini just makes everything happen behind the scenes. She's helped me create the investment club. She also is investing in these companies alongside of us, and she really is the one who can get you into this amazing opportunity. So thank you, Martini. And just want to say thank you to everybody here. And I really appreciate everybody in the chat. It looks like Janice and I are both from San Diego and went to different high schools, but spent some time out there. So great to connect with you, Janice, and Laura. Great to see your comments here. Spending some time at the UN, and I know you got your money tied up in those big banks, but hopefully we can find a way to make this happen. And look, there's some great energy. Christopher, I appreciate you being here and everybody that was asking great questions and putting this out there. And look, I just want to say this. I am really optimistic on the future. I see the most exciting times of our life, but it's also going to take some real leadership and people that know how to be proactive, pull the trigger, understand these technologies, and then quite literally create the future alongside of us. So I'm looking for some people that want to do that with me. And I couldn't be more excited. And just to be honest, folks, this is the greatest community that we've ever created in 12 years at London Real. The investment club, it's just gold. There's 73 people in over 20 countries. They all really special. They all want the best. And one more thing I didn't even tell you about, working with these CEOs is so exciting because they're so passionate. They're going to change the world, and just being around them, quite frankly, is just infectious. And we're going to take this to the next level, and would love for you to be a part of it. So that's what I would say. Educate your friends about this as well. Get them to really understand this AI, because I'm telling you, it's coming, and it's going to come so fast that everybody needs to be prepared. But like I said, it's really your mind that you want to prepare more than anything, because it's going to have to be ready to adopt and adopt change, and to be humbled and to see the opportunities and to do the right things. And we need a bunch of warriors like that alongside of us for this change. So there you go. I hope you get some time with Martini. And look, I look forward to seeing you. Hopefully your face will pop up on Thursday. I guarantee it'll be the best decision you've ever made in your life. It will change your life forever. The peer group, the knowledge. And again, you can also reinvent your career by doing this and going and learning about these technologies as well. So many of our members of our investment clubs have literally reinvented their careers. And now they're in blockchain, AI, metaverse, and they've completely changed who they are, and they love what they're doing. So there you go, folks. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. Big love. And I hope I see you on the call next Thursday. All right. Bye, everybody.